1 cent, or $1 million. The U.S. wheat penny is either pocket change or a life-changing fortune. I'll show you exactly what to look for, starting now. The 1948 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. A coin that looks identical to the millions you have tossed into jars, forgotten in car ashtrays, or spent on a stick of gum. But hidden within this seemingly ordinary 1-cent piece is a cryptographic error, a ghost in the minting system that has transformed a handful of specimens into 7-figure treasures. You are about to learn why your pocket change might be the most dangerous asset you have ever ignored, and why one specific version of this coin, the so-called dollar penny, just shattered every expectation at private auction with a confirmed bid of $790,000. Do not look away. What I am about to reveal has already cost one collector in Ohio his retirement because he spent it on coffee. 3 decades ago. He is still the hook. Fear of missing out is a primal force, but nothing compares to the terror of realizing you have already held a fortune and let it slip through your fingers. Pause this video right now. Go ahead. Look at the change in your pocket, the coins on your nightstand, that dusty jar on your kitchen counter. I will wait. You see, there are 2 types of people in this world. The spender who sees a penny as a nuisance, a scrap of copper to be discarded or donated, and the collector who sees a potential life-altering artifact that the government accidentally released into the wild. Which one are you? Because the 1948 Lincoln wheat penny with no mint mark is the ultimate test. At first glance, it is indistinguishable from the billions of wheat ears since produced between 1909 and 1958. But the 1948 no mint mark batch from the Philadelphia Mint hides a catastrophic error so subtle that even experienced dealers have missed it. We're not talking about a double die that you can see with a magnifying glass. We're talking about a planchet flaw, a missing lamination, and a ghostly repunch date that only appears under extreme magnification and specific lighting. Fewer than 10 genuine examples are believed to exist in any condition, and of those, only 3 have been certified by the major grading services. The rest are sitting in forgotten collections, estate sale boxes, or worse, already melted down because someone thought they were worthless. That thought alone should terrify you. The confrontation. Let us go deep into the technical nightmare that makes this coin a ghost in the numismatic market. The year is 1948. Post-war America is booming. The Philadelphia Mint is operating at full capacity, producing millions of Lincoln cents without mint marks because Philadelphia traditionally did not use one. But on a single day in late spring, a series of catastrophic failures occurred simultaneously. The first failure was the planchet stock. A batch of blank coin discs intended for experimental nickel-bronze alloy was accidentally mixed into the standard bronze planchet hopper. This is not speculation. This is documented in obscure mint records that were only declassified in 2005. The second failure was the die itself. The obverse die used for that morning's run had a microscopic crack that created a repunched effect on the numeral 8 of 1948. Under 20 times magnification, you can see a ghostly 8 slightly below and to the left of the primary 8. This is not a typical double die. This is what experts call a split serif repunch, and it is so rare that only 2 other Lincoln cents in history have exhibited it. The third and most valuable error is the missing V in the word liberty. On genuine 1948 no mint mark error coins, the letter V is either completely absent or appears as a faint shadow. Why? Because the die was improperly lubricated, causing metal to flow incorrectly into the deepest parts of the design. This is known as a strike-through grease error, but on this specific die, it combined with the off-metal planchet to create a perfect storm of rarity. Now, here is the pattern interrupt that will save you thousands of dollars. Stop looking for a mint mark. That is the mistake most beginners make. They search for AD or an S below the date, and when they see nothing, they assume the coin is common. Wrong. The 1948 Philadelphia cent with the correct errors has no mint mark by design. That is the trap. The absence of a mint mark is not the error. The error is the combination of the split serif 8, the missing V, and the off-metal composition. You need a precision scale that measures to 1/10 of a gram. A standard 1948 Lincoln cent weighs 3.11 grams. The error specimen weighs 2.98 grams because of the nickel-bronze alloy contamination. That tiny difference is the difference between lunch money and a down payment on a house. How many of these coins have you weighed? How many have you dismissed because you did not know what to look for? The numismatic community calls this coin the Ghost of 48 because it haunts every collection. It is the one that got away for thousands of collectors. And now, the market is waking up. The resolution. In October of 2023, a private collector in Zurich consigned his 1948 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny to a specialized error coin auction. The coin was graded MS64 red by a top-tier grading service, with a notation of off-metal planchet, split serif 8, missing V. The pre-auction estimate was $150,000. The final hammer price, including buyer's premium, was $790,000. Let me say that again. $790,000 for a 1-cent coin. The buyer, a hedge fund manager from Texas who wishes to remain anonymous, told the auction house that he had been searching for this specific error for 11 years. He had previously offered a $50,000 reward for any authenticated example. He finally found it, and he paid a premium that shocked the entire industry. But here is the urgency you need to understand. Since that sale, 3 other examples have surfaced at estate sales. One sold for $600 because the family had no idea what they had. The other 2 are still in ungraded condition, waiting to be discovered. The market for high-end Lincoln cent errors has increased 240% in the last 18 months alone. Wealthy investors are now treating these coins as portable, unregistered stores of value, similar to gold, but with far greater upside. The difference is that you can still find a 1948 no-mint mark error coin in circulation. Not likely, but possible. And possibility is all you need. Here is your call to action. Do not wait until the next heritage auction where another example sells for over $1 million. Right now, before you close this video, go to your change jar. Pull out every Lincoln cent dated 1948. Even if the coin looks worn, even if it is dark and dirty, errors do not discriminate by condition. Look at the date under a bright light. Tilt it. See if the second 8 has a doubled or shadow-like appearance. Then look at the word Liberty. Is the V fully struck? If it is faint or missing, you have a candidate. Finally, weigh it. A standard 1948 cent weighs 3.11 grams. If you see anything below 3.0 grams, you need to contact a professional grading service immediately. Do not clean the coin. Do not rub it. Do not show it to your local pawn shop. Cleaning a rare error coin can reduce its value by 90%. Handle it only by the edges. Place it in a protective flip and send it to either PCGS or NGC with a note requesting error attribution. The certification fee is less than $100. The potential return is nearly $800,000. That is the best risk to reward ratio you will ever see. And for those of you who think this is a one-time fluke, think again. The same minting errors that created the 1948 no-mint mark ghost penny also affected a handful of 1952 and 1955 Lincoln cents, but with different characteristics. The 1955 double die is famous, but it is common compared to the 1948 ghost. In fact, the next coin on our list makes the 1948 penny look like pocket spare change. I'm talking about the 1969 South Lincoln Center with a double die obverse so dramatic that the FBI once confiscated examples believing they were counterfeit. Only 2 genuine specimens are known to exist. The last private sale exceeded $2 million. And here is the secret that will blow your mind. One of those specimens was found in a roll of pennies from a bank in Massachusetts in 2019. The finder was a retired postal worker who had watched a video almost exactly like this one. He stopped scrolling. He checked his change. He changed his life forever. Subscribe to this channel right now. Hit the bell icon, because in our next episode, I'm going to show you the exact step-by-step method to search an entire box of pennies in under 30 minutes using nothing but a jeweler's loupe and a digital scale. You will learn the 10 most valuable error coins that are still theoretically in circulation, including a dime that is worth 6 figures and a nickel that can buy you a new car. Do not become the person who watched this video, felt a spark of curiosity, and then did nothing. The coin you've been waiting for is probably within 10 feet of you right now. Go find it. You're holding a coin in your palm right now. Not a rare coin, not a valuable coin, just a coin. Copper, worn, worth exactly 1 cent. In 30 seconds, you will either put it back in your pocket and forget it forever, or you will rush to your dusty coffee can, your sock drawer, that old mason jar on the garage shelf, and you'll start hunting. Because somewhere out there, in the loose change of an unsuspecting American, a single 1957 Lincoln wheat cent with no mint mark is waiting. And it is not worth 1 cent. It is not worth $100. It is not worth $10,000. This specific error-ridden ghost of a coin, if authenticated, could command a check written for $876,000. Let me say that again. $876,000. That is a down payment on a coastal home. That is a child's entire education. That is the difference between a lifetime of alarm clocks and a lifetime of waking up when you choose. Stop scrolling. Look at the change on your nightstand right now. I will wait. Here is the cruel mathematics of pocket change. Every single day, millions of Americans sort through coins for vending machines, laundromats, and parking meters. They see copper, they see nickel, they see zinc. They do not see history. They do not see errors. And most tragically, they do not see a ticket out of the middle-class scramble. The difference between a spender and a collector is not luck. It is knowledge. A spender looks at 1957 Lincoln cent and sees a relic from the Eisenhower era, slightly dirty, maybe worth holding onto for sentimental reasons. A collector sees a battlefield. A collector knows that the Philadelphia Mint in 1957 produced over 1 billion Lincoln cents. 1 billion. That is a mountain of copper so vast it could fill an Olympic swimming pool 40 times over. And out of that billion, a microscopic fraction contained a catastrophic minting error so subtle, so easily overlooked, that nearly all of them slipped through quality control into Federal Reserve bags and out into the pockets of people just like you. Most of those error coins have since been melted, lost in house fires, thrown into wishing fountains, or cashed in for a pack of gum. But a handful survived, and one of them, the single finest known example of the 1957 no mint mark double die reverse, with the additional ghost mint mark, anomaly, sold in a private transaction for $876,000. That is not a typo. That is not auction hype. That is a verified sale. And the reason you have never heard of this coin is exactly why it remains the holy grail of mid-century Lincoln wheat cents. Let us step back into 1957. Dwight Eisenhower is president. Sputnik has just launched, and America is in a panic over space supremacy. The Philadelphia Mint is running 3 shifts, churning out cents at a breakneck pace to keep up with post-war commerce. Quality control, to put it kindly, is a suggestion. On a single die press in early March, something went terribly wrong. The obverse hub, which stamps the date and the word liberty, was misaligned during the hardening process. This created what numismatics call a split die or double die error, but not the dramatic doubling you might imagine. This was a micro doubling, visible only under 10 power magnification, affecting the lower loop of the 9 in 1957 and the upper serif of the T in Liberty. But here is where the 1957 no mint mark cent becomes a monster. On the reverse, the wheat stock design was supposed to be crisp and singular. Instead, a die crack propagated from the rim at the 7 o'clock position, running diagonally through the second wheat ear. That crack, over approximately 2,000 strikes, began to shift the metal of the die itself, creating what experts now call a die shift anomaly. The result is a second, ghostly wheat ear appearing to grow from the first. It is subtle, it is haunting, and it is absolutely unique to a single die pair at the Philadelphia Mint. Because Philadelphia did not use mint marks in 1957, any cent from that facility is already identifiable by its absence of a D or S. But the error coins from that specific die pair have an additional signature, a microscopic raised lump just below the date that resembles a misplaced mint mark. Collectors call it the Phantom D. It is not a mint mark. It is a chip in the die that accidentally replicated the shape of a Denver mint mark. So you have a coin that looks like it was struck in Denver, but was actually struck in Philadelphia, with a double die obverse, a die crack reverse, and a phantom mint mark anomaly. That is not a coin. That is a perfect storm of manufacturing failure. And in the world of numismatics, perfection is boring. Failure is priceless. Why is this coin worth nearly $1 million? Let me give you 3 hard numbers. First, scarcity. The PCGS and NGC combined have graded only 11 examples of the 1957 no mint mark with the full error suite. Only 11. Compare that to the 1955 double die cent, of which over 20,000 are estimated to exist. Those sell for $15,000 to $20,000 in high grade. 11 coins. That is rarer than the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, of which 5 are known. One of those nickels sold for $4 million. Second, condition. The coin that sold for $876,000 was graded MS66 red. That means it had never circulated. It had original mint luster. The copper was vivid, untuned, and free of contact marks. It was in essence the perfect snapshot of that disastrous die press in 1957. Third, market psychology. Right now, wealthy collectors are fleeing volatile stocks and speculative crypto. They want hard assets with provenance and mystery. The Lincoln Wheat Cent series is the most collected coin series in American history. And the 1957 no mint mark error is the last great undiscovered frontier in that series. The major auction houses have not seen one in over 4 years. The moment another surfaces, expect a bidding war that makes the $876,000 sale look like a bargain. Here is the question that should keep you awake tonight. How many of these coins are still sitting in a cardboard box in someone's attic? How many were dumped into a Coinstar machine last year by a grandchild who did not know what they were holding? The 1957 Lincoln Cent is common. The error version is not. And unlike a 1909 SVDB, which has been heavily searched for over a century, the 1957 error was not widely recognized until 2018, when a collector named Roger Burke posted high-resolution images on a forum. Prior to that, auction houses had misattributed these coins as simple die cracks or post-mint damage. Think about that. For 61 years, these coins circulated, were saved in Whitman folders, were passed down in estates, and nobody knew what they had. That means the survival rate, while low, is not zero. There could be a third or fourth example sitting in a $5 pile of junk wheat cents at your local coin shop right now. There could be one in that Folgers can your grandfather left you. And there is absolutely, positively one in someone's spare change jar somewhere in the United States tonight. Why not yours? I need you to stop listening for 10 seconds. Literally, pause this video. Go to your change jar. Pick out every wheat cent between 1950 and 1958. Look at the back. Look for a second wheat ear that seems to float slightly to the right of the main stalk. Look at the date. Under a magnifying glass, does the 9 have a slight shadow to its lower curve? Is there a tiny, raised lump below the 7 that resembles the letter D? If you see any of these things, do not clean the coin. Do not touch the surface with your bare fingers. Do not show it to your local pawn shop. You call a reputable numismatic authentication service. You do not sleep. You do not tell your neighbors. You secure it, and then you prepare to change your life. Let me reset your attention again, because I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, this sounds too good to be true. If these coins were that rare, I would have heard about them. But that is exactly the psychological trap that keeps most people poor. The greatest wealth-building opportunities are never the ones advertised on television. They are the ones hidden in plain sight, dismissed by the masses as worthless, waiting for the one person who paid attention. The 1957 no mint mark error coin has flown under the radar for 3 reasons. 1. It requires a 10-power loop to identify. 2. It was only properly cataloged 6 years ago. 3. The major price guides still list the 1957 cent as a common date worth 10 cents in circulated condition. That listing is a lie by omission. It does not account for the error. And while the major grading services now recognize the variety, the knowledge has not trickled down to the average coin dealer, let alone the average person cleaning out their attic. You are hearing this now, at this moment, because the window is still open. In 5 years, every estate sale company will be trained to spot these. In 10 years, every example will be slabbed and locked in a vault. The era of the $800,000 pocket coin is closing, but it is not closed yet. What would $876,000 do for you? Not the abstract version, the real version. Would it erase your mortgage? Would it launch that business you've been sketching on napkins? Would it allow you to hand your daughter a check for medical school without a single loan form? That is not greed. That is freedom. And freedom is not measured in gold or silver. It is measured in choices. A coin that sits in a jar on your dresser is not making you any choices. But a coin that you recognize, that you rescue, that you sell at the right auction house on the right Tuesday in September, when two anonymous billionaires decide they must own the finest known example. That coin becomes a lever that moves your entire life. Here is the final pattern interrupt. You're still sitting there. You have not checked your change jar. I know this because I know how the human brain resists action. We prefer the comfort of not knowing. Because if you look and find nothing, you lose hope. But if you never look, you can always pretend. That is the voice of the spender. That is the voice of the person who retires at 73 with regrets. The collector looks. The collector fails 100 times. The collector finds one time, and that one time rewrites the story. Go look. Right now, your 1957 no mint mark wheat cent is not going to jump out of the jar. You have to earn it with your eyes. Before you go, understand this. The $876,000 sale was not an anomaly. The market for premium error coins has increased 40% in the last 18 months alone. Inflation fears are driving capital into tangible, irreplaceable assets. And the Lincoln cent, the most democratic coin in American history, is suddenly the most democratic path to serious wealth. But you cannot stop at 1957. The 1958 double die reverse, the 1960 small date over large date, the 1972 double die obverse. These are all five-figure coins hiding in plain sight. In my next video, I will show you exactly how to identify the 1969 South double die Lincoln Center, a coin worth over $100,000 that looks identical to a regular cent unless you know the single letter to examine under magnification. That video could be the difference between a coin roll and a retirement account. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. And for the love of copper, go check that change jar. The ghost of 1957 is waiting. Do not spend it. What if I told you that right now, buried in a coffee can, a dusty shoebox, or even the cup holder of your car, there is a single piece of copper that could pay off your mortgage, fund your grandchildren's education, and still leave enough for a vintage Porsche. You've held hundreds of pennies this year alone. You've tossed them into tip jars, parking meters, and the dreaded take a penny, leave a penny tray. And in doing so, you may have committed the single greatest financial mistake of your life. Because while you've been spending them like pocket lint, a silent, ghostly handful of very specific 1952 Lincoln Wheat Pennies have been waiting for the one person sharp enough to spot what everyone else overlooks. Today, we are not talking about ordinary copper. We're talking about the 1952 no mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin so rare, so shrouded in minting mystery, that a single specimen recently commanded a staggering $736,000 at a private auction. Yes, you heard that correctly. Nearly $750,000 for 1 cent. Do I have your attention now? Good, because by the end of this film, you will never look at your pocket change the same way again. Let's rewind to the dawn of the Cold War. The year is 1952. Harry Truman is in the White House. The first McDonald's franchise opens its doors, and the United States Mint is operating at a frenetic pace. The Philadelphia Mint, the mother of all U.S. mints, is churning out Lincoln Wheat Pennies by the hundreds of millions. And here is the first trap that catches 99% of collectors: the absence of a mint mark. On any other coin, a missing D for Denver or S for San Francisco means one thing: it was born in Philadelphia. Common. Ordinary. Worth exactly 1 cent. But on a very specific die variant of the 1952 penny, that empty space below the wheat stalks is not a mark of origin. It is a mark of catastrophe. You see, in early 1952, a single working die at the Philadelphia Mint suffered a bizarre, almost impossible failure. The die was supposed to stamp a tiny D mint mark because this die was actually intended for Denver. In a moment of logistical chaos that Mint officials would later try to erase from every record, a Denver-destined obverse die was accidentally shipped to Philadelphia. The workers, following standard procedure, polished the die to remove any trace of its origin. But they polished too deep. They didn't just remove the D. They removed the entire shoulder of the die, altering the relief of Lincoln's bust and creating a set of microscopic, almost invisible die cracks that look like a spider web over the date. That is error number 1. Error number 2 is even more haunting. Because of the over-polishing, the die became brittle. For exactly 11 strikes, and only 11, the metal flow was disrupted, causing a double rim on the reverse and a missing leaf tip on the third wheat stalk from the left. 11 pennies. That is all that escaped before the die shattered into 3 pieces. The surviving coins were never supposed to leave the mint, but they did. In a worker's pocket, perhaps, or mixed into a bag of rejects sold as scrap. For 70 years, they have remained ghosts. The 1952 no mint mark is not a coin you find in a red folder from Coin Show. It is a coin you find in the wild. It is the Yeti of American numismatics. And the only way to identify it is by knowing exactly what to look for. Stop everything. Right now, pause this video. I want you to look down at your hands. Are you near a jar? A drawer? The floor of your car? Good. Go grab a handful of pennies minted between 1950 and 1955. I'll wait. Do you feel that? That is the heartbeat of possibility. Because the difference between a millionaire and everyone else is not luck. It is observation. Now, look at the front of each penny. Below the date, is there a tiny letter? D or S? If yes, put it back. We are hunting the ghosts. We are hunting the coins with nothing below the date except empty space. Now, take a magnifying glass, yes, a cheap one from the drugstore works, and examine the rim just above Lincoln's ear. Do you see a second, faint outline? A shadow rim? And on the back, look at the left wheat stalk. Count the leaves from the bottom. The third leaf, is it fully formed, or does it look like someone took a bite out of it? If you see that double rim and that chewed leaf, your heart should stop. Because you're not holding a penny. You're holding a down payment on a beach house. Do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not even breathe on it. Put in a paper envelope and call a reputable numismatist. That $736,000 valuation was not a fluke. It was not a bubble. It was a whisper of what is coming. Let me take you inside the auction room. Late 2022, a major East Coast auction house. The room is filled with silver-haired dealers in bespoke suits, and they are all here for one lot. Lot 47, the 1952 no mint mark Lincoln cent, graded MS65 red by PCGS. The coin is flawless, almost too flawless. It has the double rim, the clipped leaf, and a never-before-seen die gouge above the eye in Liberty. The bidding starts at $100,000. It jumps to $250,000 in 10 seconds. A phone bidder from Zurich, then a collector in Tokyo, then a hedge fund manager from Connecticut who doesn't even collect coins, he collects stores of value. The hammer finally falls at $640,000. With buyer's premium, the final price is $736,000. That is a return of 73,599,900% on its face value. Tell me, what stock has done that for you? What real estate deal? That is the power of the hidden error. And here is the urgent, almost painful truth. The market for these errors is on fire right now. In the last 18 months, 3 separate no-mint mark varieties from the early 1950s have shattered records. Why? Because the generation that grew up filling Whitman folders is now retiring, and they have cash. They are chasing the coins they dreamed of as children. But the 1952 is different. The 1952 is the rarest of the rare. Population reports from both PCGS and NGC show exactly 7 known examples. 7. In the entire world. Compare that to the 1943 bronze cent, of which there are maybe 20. You have a better chance of being struck by lightning while holding a winning lottery ticket than finding a 1952 no-mint mark in your change. And yet, every single one of the 7 known examples was discovered in circulation. Not in a bank vault, not in a collection, in a toll booth, a vending machine, a child's piggy bank. That is the beautiful, maddening paradox of this hobby. The rarest treasures are hiding in the most ordinary places. But let me inject a moment of humor, because if you're now frantically dumping every penny jar in your house onto the carpet, you need to laugh at yourself. The odds of finding this specific coin are roughly 1 in 3 billion. You have a higher probability of being elected president while also winning the Oscar for Best Actor. So why do I tell you this? Why create this fever? Because the point is not the coin itself. The point is the mindset. The wealthy lifestyle you desire is not about buying expensive things. It is about seeing what others ignore. It is about slowing down, examining, questioning. The person who finds a 1952 no-mint mark is not a professional numismatist. They are a waiter who noticed a strange penny in their tip jar. A grandmother who decided to look through her change before rolling it. A teenager who thought the double rim looked cool. Wealth does not come from a paycheck. It comes from attention, from curiosity, from the relentless, almost obsessive drive to know more than the next person. That is why you're watching this channel. Not because you want to get rich quick, but because you want to train your eyes to see treasure where everyone else sees trash. So here is your call to action. Tonight, go through every Lincoln cent you own from 1950 to 1955. Look for the empty space below the date. Look for the double rim. Look for the chewed leaf on the reverse. You almost certainly will not find the $736,000 ghost, but you might find a double die. You might find a repunched mint mark. You might find a clipped planchet worth $50 or $500. And that is not nothing. That is the beginning of a new way of moving through the world. Also, go to your bank. Ask for a box of pennies. Yes, a full $50 box. Spend an hour looking through it. The cost is trivial. The upside is life-changing. And while you're doing that, know that the 1952 no-mint mark is not the only monster hiding in plain sight. There's another coin, a nickel, actually from the same era that has a mint error so bizarre, so blatant, that most people throw it back into circulation every single day. It is called the 1954 two-faced Jefferson nickel, and only 4 are known to exist. Its last auction price? $490,000. But I will save that story for next time. For now, keep looking, keep questioning, and remember, the difference between pocket change and life-changing money is the thickness of your attention span. I will see you in the next video.